All right, so I'm going to share a personal story about my process with aging, and then afterwards we're going to partner up with one other person, and you guys are going to share your personal experience with each other. So it's going to be nice. All right, so anyway, like everybody was talking about, I mean, aging is a natural process, but what happens is the fear of aging becomes an issue. And I do contribute society for a lot of that fear because it's a moneymaker, but we have to take responsibility. You know, it's just like I can sit there and blame my past for, you know, way back when for how I am now, but I'm 61. I got to take responsibility. I got to start taking the actions, you know, that will take care of myself. So anyway, so I'm going to start, and also fear. You know, like you guys know, I mean, there's no acceptance in fear, right? So there's a lot of fight or flight. So, I mean, with fight or flight, you are not going to accept or surrender to any of this. So my story with aging is going to show that. I found through the thread of it, there was a lot of underlying fear that had almost nothing to do with aging. It had stuff to do with other things. So anyway, I'm going to start from the beginning. My sister's going to remember this, but you know, we were raised in Chicago, and our Aunt Gertie, she used to babysit us. And she was old. I mean, as an aunt, she seemed like she was 100 when we were kids. But I just remember as a child, you're just so pure. And I remember sitting on her lap, and Jackie, you were there too. I was sitting on her lap, and I would feel all her wrinkles. I loved her wrinkles. And I'm like, Aunt Gertie, how come you have so many lines, you know? And I'm thinking, you know, I'm just loving it. And she's probably like, thanks a lot, you know? But I was just embracing it. I had no judgment other than pure love for my aunt, and just this beauty that I saw in her. Because I saw the wrinkles as beauty. So I saw her beyond the wrinkles, but I also saw her wrinkles as beauty, right? So, you know, so that the fear for me with aging kind of started. Now, this is the memory that stands out profoundly for me with fear of aging. So I'm going to share that because I only have 15 minutes, so I can't share every single thing. But so I think it was in my late teens or early 20s. I was sleeping, and I remember I woke up in a complete nightmare. I woke up from a nightmare that I had turned 30. That was my nightmare. I'm serious. I woke up and I was 30 years, in my nightmare, I was 30 years old, and I woke up and I was breathing really heavy. I literally was having an anxiety attack because that nightmare about turning 30, and I don't know if that's when it started. It must have started before that, because subconsciously here I am, you know, at 30, you know, at 19, so afraid of turning 30. So, you know, so that kind of hit me with, I think what it was fear of responsibility. You know, being 30 meant I'm getting older. You know, my late teens, early 20s, it's like my friends are going off to college, this is happening, and what am I going to do? So I think it was more of a fear of responsibility of life, and what was I going to do with my life? So anyway, and then I remember around 27 years old, I remember this, you guys, I remember being 27 and looking in the mirror, seeing my first wrinkle. And I wasn't like my Aunt Gertie, when I was looking at my Aunt Gertie, looking at her wrinkle. When I was looking at my wrinkle, it wasn't like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. No, I became completely consumed, and my sister doesn't even know some of this obsession, and completely obsessed. To the point, you know, because, here again, that fear. Underlying it was, I was fear of losing power, because there's power in beauty and looks, right? And youth. So fear of losing that power. Because I had it, man. I mean, throughout my life, I got things so easily, being young and being pretty, you know? And so when I saw that wrinkle, there was a flaw there. And I was going to do whatever it took to fix that flaw. And this is what my sister doesn't know. So, and I'm not judging people that do this. Believe me, I'm not judging people that do this, because my motive for doing this was completely out of fear and completely out of insecurity and completely out of feeling lack of who I was or loss of who I was. So, you know, I would do injections, and then I was so obsessed the injections didn't work because they faded. And so when that faded, my sense of self faded again. So it's like, oh my God, I got to do something. So what I did, guess what I did? I investigated plastic surgeons, and I found a plastic surgeon. They weren't doing this. This was experimental to put implants where this wrinkle was. And he's like, we don't really do that. And this was out in Atlanta. They didn't do this stuff in Chicago. So I'm like, I'm coming. And I took a bus to Atlanta just to do that. And this is like, I mean, the side effects, if you guys read the side effects, MS, all kinds of things with this implants. And I didn't care, because what I cared more about was not losing that power, right? So, you know, so again, a lot of insecurities there, you know, and then came, I'm kind of fast forwarding a lot because of time, but so then came the invisible years. Now, and this was shocking to me, because again, with my youth and with my looks, you know, I would get, and please don't think I'm conceited about this, because this is just my story, and this is just where I was at. You know, I would get second and third looks from guys, you know, like, whoa, you know, checking me out. All of a sudden, you know, in my 50s, guys would walk into me because they didn't see me. Literally, I was walking, and this is a true story. I think I told Cindy. I'm like, oh, I think I was on the phone with Cindy. I'm like, oh my God, somebody just walked, and he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. I mean, I used to get people notice, and then, and this became common. I was at Chipotle. Oh, let me tell another story. When I was at Chipotle, and I was in line, there's this one young girl here, this young man here, and I was in the middle. He waits on the young girl and then passes me right up and goes, okay, what can I help you with, sir? And I'm like, I didn't take my order yet. So this was becoming common. And it's like, oh my God, what is happening? And I was getting angrier. I was getting more jealous of younger people. And you know, when the waitress would come up and give me a senior discount automatically without me asking for it. And you guys, the first time that happened, I was 45 years old. So that was so shocking. I mean, this was shocking. And it was very, very disturbing. And but I didn't know it. I didn't know that I was being affected this way. I was just getting angrier and angrier. And Diane, I loved what you said earlier, because underlying it all, I was grieving. I was grieving my youth. But like what Corey said, then what do you replace it with? Well, I wasn't replacing it with anything just yet. I was just getting pissed, you know, and I was like desperate for attention. And I remember, Jackie, you remember this, because we were playing around. We were out in Marshall Fields, State Street in Chicago. You know, we went downtown to look at the lights and Christmas lights and all that, and this is about, I don't know, 15 years ago. And, you know, or 10 years ago, and you know, by then I was starting to adjust to the fact I wasn't getting attention, you know, and from men and things like that. And we were in the basement of Marshall Fields. I don't know if you guys know this area, but they let homeless people in, you know, for free coffee, which is so beautiful at Starbucks there. Anyway, so I'm walking, you know, to get my coffee, and there's a homeless man, and he's like, and he's leaning over, really drunk, he's like, hey, are you nice? So I'm like, ooh. So then I kept walking by, and literally every time I walked by, he would do the same thing. And I'm like, I will take it where I can get it. And then I'm like, all right, something's happening here. You know? Something's happening here. And what I realized was I was not looking inward, like Krista, what you were saying. I was not looking inward. And inside, I was just a full ball of insecurity, you know, full ball of insecurity. And so I started really doing the work. I started really doing the work that it took to get me to where I'm at today. And it was about self-love. I'd hear people go, oh, self-love, do you do self-love? And I'm like, what does that even mean? You know, I don't even know what you mean, you know? But it really was to embrace my authentic self. And I had to start looking for that because I gave my power to everybody, to men, careers, and this and that. I gave it to everybody. Now I needed to start pulling back all the fragments of my soul that I left here and here and here and here, and bringing them back to my heart and soul. And that's a journey, you guys. That's not like you can take a workshop and okay, now self-love, okay. It's like literally a journey. It's a journey of a lifetime. And so spirituality for me is huge. Because in all of that, giving that kind of power to all those people, places, and things, it was like I lacked the true essence of who I was. The true essence of who I am is connected to my highest power, and I was like, because I was playing my highest power by trying to get all these things to fix me, I just completely avoided and ignored that part of me, which is who I am. I am a spiritual being in a human body. I mean, that's what they say, and that's what I am. So I don't know, life can be so hard. I've had loss after loss. I've had best friends die. I've had ex-fiancés and ex-boyfriends die, and I've had, our mother just died, and my father, he has dementia. We've become parents to the parents. I mean, life has significant changes that happen, traumatic changes that happen. But Cindy said this to me, and it sticks with me to this day. Do I want to be bitter or better about it? I was bitter when I started aging and people didn't notice me. I was getting bitter. I was getting angry. And then I turned it around, and I'm like, and I had to do it. Nobody came, like they said, nobody comes to your door. Hey, let me help you out because it looks like you're struggling. Yeah. I had to you guys, we only have our life. And I want to embrace it. I want to participate in this life. I want to live a full life, and that includes that. It doesn't mean let's hide from this hard stuff and only embrace the happy, happy, happy. That's why, I was a mess because of that thinking. So, it's like embrace all of it. Be there for all of it. I am there seeing my dad fall apart week by week with dementia. But my sister and I are there for it. We are there for him. Betty Davis says, and you guys might have heard this, she said, getting older isn't for sissies.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It ain't for fucking sissies. Right. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I just want to be part of this life. And just in being in this room with you guys, I mean, I know most of you guys, and some of you guys I'm just meeting, and I feel your beautiful hearts and souls. I mean, it's amazing. Sometimes, literally, and I'm not saying this just to say this, sometimes I will sit and feel people's hearts and souls and just start crying because it's so powerful. We have so much light in us. There's so much beauty in us. And we're missing the boat when we listen to the stupid freaking ads about, oh, you have a wrinkle? Oh my God, 19-year-olds on the Oil of Olay commercials like they, that's all BS. I mean, we are powerful people beyond measure. We are powerful people. I'm going to end with this, but, nature shows us how beautiful aging is, how beautiful dying is.
Yes.
I mean, you guys, I didn't know this until recently, but when a flower actually buds, completely opens, that's when it's going to die. So right before it's going to die is when it's the most beautiful. Same with leaves on the tree in fall, the most beautiful when it's dying. I mean, God gives us that opportunity to see this, and we miss it by staying blind. I decided to not stay blind anymore, and so I embrace life, and I embrace the good and the bad and the ugly. I embrace that my dad is suffering and that I am there with him, suffering with him, but at the same time there's beauty in it, because when we're sitting together, he talks nonsensical, but then he cracks himself up. And I start laughing so hard, we're laughing till we cry. And then sometimes I'll say, how you doing, Dad? And most times he doesn't get it, but sometimes he does. And he's like, I'm And I'm like, oh my God, you know, I'm the one suffering here then, when it's like, I'm good, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to end with, you guys, this aging thing is just from God. So, okay, or, you know, okay, or from higher power, from higher source, whatever you want to call it. But this aging thing is us. It's a part of life. It is our life. So why are we fighting it so much? And I, you know, I get it because I did it so much. So I fought it a lot. But I don't fight it anymore. I don't at all fight it anymore, except when I go get facials left. But anyway, so I just want to end with that. And I don't know. I'm just so grateful that you guys were all here and that I love you all. So.
Yeah.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank you.